Provide a youth perspective, we gathered a group of our peers to discuss internet in small towns. The most important issue we discovered when talking with them was the stigma of returning to the small town that they grew up in. I mean, I know this looks bad, but this is what the students were fearful of. This is what they thought would happen to them if they returned to the small town. They thought if they went back or stayed in their community, they would end up pregnant and living in a trailer while working for minimum wage at McDonald's. And I'm not making this up. This is what they said in our interviews. They wanted a chance for job advancement, and they wanted a chance to learn. So I know in my yearbook, personally, we had a section in the awards where everybody in our class voted for somebody who was the most likely to never leave. And as we meant it as a joke, but these students are finding that it's really, really scary for them. They're fearful of returning. Also, some of the students said they had no reason to return. They hadn't been active in their community. And the only community activism that they had was leaf rake-a-thons. They said if they had been more active in their community or more proactive in promoting community pride, that they would have felt a stronger connection to return. We need to offer opportunities that break the stigma so students return to small towns and associate moving back to their hometown with positive thoughts rather than believing they'll be stuck forever. We need to show them that rural places can be a great place to raise a family and have a future. Tara is going to go into a little bit more depth about our youth perspective.
So when we discuss these problems, can you hear me? Okay. If I have to talk loud, it will make me talk slower, which I'm sure you will all appreciate. When we discuss these problems, the main thing about not getting the youth back or sending youth out to college and never seeing them again is a basic generation gap. We have a group of millennial generation people who are used to the technology. We're all natives to it. And we're working with a former generation who really founded these amazing technologies, the fruits of our generations, but they're not natives to it. It's something new to them, and we're all struggling to keep up. But when you have a new generation who's completely aware of what's happening with technology all the time and it's embedded in their lives, it's easier for us to keep up. And understanding where former generations come from can be difficult. Now, there are a couple of trends that are significantly different about the millennial generation. We've seen a lot of economic hardship, and obviously it's not the Great Depression, but we saw the dot-com bust, we saw downsizing and layoffs, and we are currently seeing the recession, which I'm sure you all know is going to be very daunting for anybody exiting college right now. So we care about benefits when we look at our jobs in the future. We've been told about IRA accounts since high school, and we've been told about our 401k program since high school. We look for those benefits, and we know what we want, and we're prepared to look for retirement benefits. Oh dear. So we want jobs that prepare us for retirement, and we know that there's a competitive job market out there for us. We're going in after the baby boom generation, and so there are a lot of opportunities for us to enter the market in new and innovative ways. And as you saw previously, there are hundreds of thousands of jobs being created that we don't even know what the opportunities are there yet. But there's good news about this too. Blind careerism is beginning to fade. We're a very entitled generation. Our parents, you all, have been telling us how special we are for all of our lives, and we genuinely believe it. We are a generation of narcissists when it comes down to it. Last night we were called a generation of picky, patient people. We're really just kind of obnoxious to manage sometimes because we have very high expectations, and you know that. I mean, I'm sure you've worked with some really ornery young people lately. But that's why, because blind careerism is beginning to fade, we're not going to work for the same company for 40 years unless they can offer us the benefits that we're looking for. And those benefits are not just 401k programs. It's not just about money. We're interested in work-life balance. For the first time, this generation has had more opportunities than ever before to see where their products are coming from, to learn about sustainability programs, to learn about poverty programs, to learn about other nonprofit programs happening all over the state. And we're extremely interested in that. And we want a balance within our career, not only something that we feel is fulfilling, but that offers us flexibility to have a life outside of our career. For the first time, we want to be able to go to yoga class in the middle of the day, which, as ridiculous as it sounds, might in fact be good for us. That means for rural communities that you can attract us. All day we've been hearing that rural communities offer so much more than a metro area can. And that's what we're saying. If you can highlight that when you talk to us, say, yes, we offer better safety. You can pick your kids up from school and they can walk back by themselves. You could walk from work to the school and see them there. You can take time off in the middle of the day. You can stay at work and late. Excuse me, you can stay at work late. There we go. So you know that rural America has opportunities, and for the first time, internet is making it so that we can work for 3M from Perham, Minnesota, for example. Now there's another, really big glitch in our generation. We don't function without technology. It's embedded in our lives, and you all expect it to be there. We do our banking online. We will drive around on the streets looking for a Wi-Fi connection with our laptop on our lap so that we can make sure we don't do it overdraft charges. It's happened to me. And every time we have a question, we don't ask our parents, we don't ask somebody older, we go to Google. And as you saw, the Google searches are exploding because that's where we're learning from. We're learning from the internet. And every time we have a question, that's where we go to. And this isn't just for silly questions like, what does Lady Gaga look like? Or how do I crunk, which I learned last night. But you can also, we also search for important things on the internet. For example, I'm graduating next year, and my fiance and I have pretty flexible job opportunities. He's going into nursing, I'm going into counseling. So we both know we want to live in a small town, but that's about it. So what do? We search on Google, which sounds ridiculous to somebody in another generation, but that's our first step. And so if I look at, this is also another show that we multitask also. Those are my iTunes and a PowerPoint presentation. I wonder which one. But the first communities that show up are the first ones that we'll see. And so a necessity for every community in America now is web presence, not only for attracting the next generation, but for keeping the current generation, because this is where we function from. So if you have web presence, that means that we can meet you online, which is critically important. How will I ever move to Perham, Minnesota, or Foley, Minnesota, if I can't find it, if I don't know it exists on any map? Secondly, we need to know about you. An Economic Development Authority website is not enough to have online. We want to know every amenity that's available, the businesses that we can go to, the community events. We want to know about the parks. We want to know about job opportunities. We want to know even everything that you can offer us online. People who are interested will eat this up, because if I am interested in a community, I will get excited about a community and I will want to go and visit it if it sounds like there are cool things there, if there's something that I can do, if there's an identity or a community brand that is represented through online media. So that being said, there's a difference between good web policy and bad web policy. As I said, you have to have the necessities up there as well as the amenities up online. However, you need to have control over what is being said about your community online. Now, there are certain communities which have been hacked recently. Their websites were basically, a third party came in and took control over the website, removed the passwords, and now those communities don't have control over basic websites anymore. Now with .gov websites, that's changing, but if you type in Mankato, Minnesota into Google, this is the first thing that comes up. Now, I wasn't aware that there are Ocean View beaches in Mankato, Minnesota, or Dracula's Castle in the official Mankato US homepage. So this is not the first site that shows up on Bing or on Yahoo, and to be fair, Mankato has a wonderful web presence and great sites. Unfortunately, this is the first thing that people see, and while most people aren't naive enough to believe this is true, it does remove some legitimacy from a community, and so being first on the search engines is something that's not that hard to do, but it's very important. Also, you want to have a user-friendly website. Your website is your first impression with this next generation, and so when you're using it, you want to make sure that people don't leave with a sense of frustration. Oh, I couldn't find anything about housing options. I couldn't find anything about job options. I don't know what types of parks are there. There's probably not any there. You want to make sure that everything is laid out perfectly. We were especially impressed with Cook County because they were able to lay out the website for users, or for visitors, for residents, for government, and for business people. And that lets people know exactly what they would be looking for, or if it's not exactly where they thought it would be, they can kind of hypothesize the next best